bodies. What is it that you're saying to government at the moment about low carbon fuels?
I mean, we're saying to the government, be ambitious. I mean, they've had this renewable transport fuel obligation, a really successful policy, as you've said a couple of times, doing the heavy lifting of decarbonising. And it needs to have higher targets. I mean, with electrification coming in, the actual volume, the absolute amount of renewable fuel will go down unless those targets are increased. So there's lots to be done, and we'd like the government to be a bit more forward in getting that message out that these low carbon fuels are really important. There's a lot of messaging on electrification, but we need to be heard about, because, as you said, it's a long journey, but the journey must start now. I mean, I think the way I kind of think about it is there's like 3 sweet spots where certain renewable fuels really make sense for a fleet operator. If fuel cost is a really vital part and they don't want to spend any more on decarbonising, then moving to a high blend biodiesel won't cost them any more, or only very slightly more. It's kind of touch and go whether it costs any more than B7. So that's something to be done. Back to base fueling, that's a really good option. And then they can use their existing fleet, their diesel vehicles, run it on the high blend biodiesel. If they're buying new trucks, consider biomethane. I mean, that really comes into its own. The longer the harder work those HGVs, those trucks do, longer distances, double shifting, the payback, will happen quicker. So they can save money by moving to biomethane. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, for gas vehicles, there's a fuel duty differential, which obviously is beneficial, helps, make the fleet operators save money, after, say, a year and a half, a couple of years payback, they're making money from having gas vehicles running on biomethane. But for higher blend biodiesel, we want to fight a fiscal incentive, some sort of differential, something actually that incentivises the fleet operators to take that up, that's beyond just the very important kind of pressure from their customers to move to that. I mean, I want to emphasise that customer pressure is a really important thing. That's what wins them contracts. That people have said things to me like, after you find out what the company's called, what's the address, it's, how are you decarbonising, getting our goods to our customers? Coming back to what you were saying about the government and the messaging, I mean, I think that they feel that if people start talking about low carbon fuels, that will somehow take the mind off the eventual move to zero tailpipe vehicles. And I just don't see that it does that. Why should it do that? Both things are needed. All the while there are internal combustion engines on the road, get better fuel into them. Start as soon as you can. It's not going to mean that you're not going to think about electrification as well. But for the heavy goods vehicles, there just aren't those options really realistically available at the moment.
No,
for the kind of articulated trucks, giving up a load of their payload to the weight of batteries, the time it takes to recharge them, etc., etc.
At this point, what I'd like to do is to bring in a couple of members of the RTFA, and indeed, I think both members of the RFAS scheme as well. So, Colin from Argent Energy, one of the UK's primary suppliers of biodiesel, renewable biodiesel, and of course Philip from CNG Fuels. Philip and I have worked on biomethane particularly in trucks, but in other vehicles for many, many years. I heard from Phil Moon of DAF Trucks this morning that they are producing vehicles that are 100% FAME compatible, 100% HVO compatible. They've got gas trucks, they've got electric trucks. The manufacturers are hedging their bets and providing a solution for everybody and for every fuel. Is that what you're seeing in terms of the uptake? Are you seeing success in terms of decarbonisation?
We certainly are, Andy, and the volumes of high blend biodiesels that Argent sells into the UK has grown exponentially. We're into the hundreds of millions of litres every year of high blend biodiesel. The question about the OEMs, the manufacturers, whilst it's fantastic that DAF have got this B100 truck for biodiesel or indeed for HVO, There's still a lot of pressure from the end user in terms of warranty issues, and we're very upfront about that. The majority of our customers have absolutely no issues in going up to a B30, for instance, and that's what we recommend. And we do this through a process called dynamic blend management, which is seasonal adjustment of the blend rate that we offer a customer. So we're trying to optimize their decarbonisation whilst minimizing or eradicating any operational issues. And it's really getting a lot of buy-in, I'm glad to say. So the future is looking good. Absolutely. There's a lot of our business is actually where we manage their stock, and we don't dictate. We do this as a collaboration. So we discuss, we're looking at long-range weather forecasts, for instance, and other, like Philip doesn't have to consider that type of thing, but to make sure our customers don't have any operational issues and they maximize the benefits of biodiesel, we work with them and we agree the blend rate, and we can go up or down in 2 percentage point increments at the flick of a switch. So it's as easy as that, and that's the bit that's bringing more and more people onto our high blend biodiesel, so that they don't have to jump to a B30. As Andrew was saying earlier, it may be a B10 HVO that they do.
But if you're thinking about new trucks, and actually there's a number of fleets that have already jumped with both feet into biomethane. Often we talk about CNG trucks, but pretty much all the gas we use on the road here in the UK is actually biomethane, I think, Phil. So what have you seen over the last few years that, how has that market changed in terms of biomethane into trucks?
It's a good question. If we take a step back, first of all, to see where we've come from. So we founded CNG Fuels back in 2014. In 2015, there were 7 registered CNG Arctics on the road. 2 for Waitrose and 5 for Argos. Today, last month, we had 2,020 exclusively go through our CNG network. Now, there are 2 ways of putting biomethane into trucks. You can do it through bio-CNG, which is the larger market in the UK, but there's also bio-LNG. And there are horses for courses. Some prefer CNG, some prefer LNG. For us alone, CNG Fuels, we have 1.3 to 1.4% of all registered Arctics on the road. Our core market is the Arctics. It's not vans. It's not really the rigids. There are about 145, 150,000 registered Arctics in the UK today. We've got 1.3 to 1.4% of those vehicles exclusively run on CNG through our network. When you put in bio-LNG on top of that, you're probably into somewhere between 2 to 2.5% of the total articulated market. So it's no longer a niche. If you look at the 10 top supermarkets in the UK, by July this year, 8 of them will be running CNG trucks through our network. So this isn't a niche, it's not a fad.
This is compared with electrification of that sector, this is 10 times probably greater in terms of its movement just from the CNG or the gas-powered trucks. And if we roll in high blend only, not the retail blend, but high blend, we're talking about probably 20 to 50 times greater impact today than electrification is having, and that's going to be the case for a few years. So this is a huge success story.
We've successfully built a backbone of a nationwide network. So you can now drive pretty much from Scotland all the way to Cornwall and back again, or into Kent, or into Wales, or into the northeast, using CNG trucks. We're building more stations. We've got 15. Number 16 is Livingston in Scotland, going live in a couple of weeks. So you've got 16 very large public access stations, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, can refuel between 600 to 800 trucks a day.
If it's B100, there are challenges, and again, we're very upfront about that, because B100, by its very nature, needs to be heated, and there are modifications to the vehicle that are required. When it comes to up to B30, it literally is a drop-in replacement. So again, you can be running on regular diesel in 1 week, and the next week you could be running on B14, B18, B24, whatever you require. And it is very much a drop-in replacement. But you mentioned earlier, Andy, about what do you suggest to people as the first steps are? And we, again, as the industry, people should be looking at absolutely everything. They should be considering hydrogen. They should be considering electrification if they can do it. They should be considering CNG, biodiesel, HVO. They have to look at everything and choose the one that's right for them. And if it happens to be high blend biodiesel, happy days for Argent. We'll get on with that. But they must look at absolutely everything, because a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step.
What's the next step in your sort of campaigning, your messaging? What does government need to do next?
Simple, really. It's whack up the renewable transport fuel obligation target levels. That's a big step. The market will find solutions. I mean, what Colin was saying about B100 versus B20. I mean, you can have 20%. The environment won't care. 20% of vehicles running on a 100% fuel is the same as 100% running on 20% fuel. You just got to start doing whatever you can, and look at all the options. Can I say one extra thing?
Go
Andy?
on, Gaynor.
I mean, I know that the HGV sector really, has got a challenge. Really, they are thinking about electrification, zero tailpipe, but it's very, very difficult. But if they don't actually move to renewable fuels and show that they are prepared to do something, then that's not a good message. So they really, really ought to get on with it.
They should. I'm there for you. That's great. Thank you very much for your time, all three of you. Thank you.